Breaking news now, and this ought to make your blood boil. The FBI refuses to brief the House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, on Congressman Eric Swalwell's ties to a Chinese spy. McCarthy tweeted this, quote, "I have asked the FBI for a briefing on Representative Swalwell's ties to a reported spy from China. Twice it has been scheduled, twice it has been canceled by the FBI. Swalwell is a national security liability. This is too important for the FBI to continue to stonewall." Well, so much is too important for them to stonewall, but stonewall they continue to do. Our next guest sits on the very same House Intelligence Committee as does Eric Swalwell. He's also been briefed on the cyber attack being carried out by Russia against our federal departments and agencies. It's an attack that also breached Los Alamos's laboratory defenses. That, by the way, the national repository of our nuclear stockpile and designs and secrets. It also may have been an attack that has now revealed to the Russians and other, perhaps, allies in this attack on the ways in which they could disrupt our electricity grid. Joining us now, Congressman Chris Stewart, as I said, a member of the Intelligence Committee. Congressman, great to have you with us, and I should start by saying that Congressman Stewart is a great American for whom we have great respect here. Give us your senses to the degree that you can, the proportion, the extent of the damage that is apparently ongoing, and that has, as best we can inventory, already been done.
Yeah, here's the bad news. It's bad, and the worst news is we don't know yet how bad. We truly don't know an inventory yet of how deep this goes or how broad it goes. We know, as you've indicated, that it's into our Department of Energy labs, Los Alamos, some of the most sensitive information in the U.S. government, but we don't know where the fence is. We don't know where this ends. I don't think this should surprise anyone, Lou. I mean, look, this is an enormous challenge for us. But you said something earlier in your previous interview, and I just felt like it was such a great interview and so insightful, and something I wanted to reiterate. And that was, I've been an advocate for years now, going back to the Obama administration, of we allow these foreign governments to attack us through cyber means with impunity. I mean, we never enforce any sanctions or any repercussions because of that. And because of that, there's no downside for them. So they push and they push and they push. And look, I understand. I've talked to some of the smartest people in the world on this. I understand that there is a downside when we punish them. But I think there has to be a cost for some of this. You look at the OPM breach, 22 million Americans' records taken, from which the Chinese are able to discern incredibly sensitive information. This is another example of it. And look, I'm not suggesting we go bomb Russia, of course, but I'm saying there should be a price to pay. And too often there just isn't. I just think we have to fundamentally relook at that policy. And then the second thing I'll mention just very quickly, when anyone stands up and says, as the example you use, this was the most secure election in U.S. history, there were no breaches by foreign governments. If you say something that definitively about anything regarding cyber, you're simply wrong, because we just don't know. You can say we don't think there was a breach or we think this is a secure election, but the truth is you never know, and you can't presume that anything is 100% secure. And if you do, then you are doing it to the detriment of our own security.
Yeah, and we just have too many examples now in our recent history of massive cyber attacks, whether it be on OPM, whether it be against the Energy Department, the Agriculture Department, even this time, amongst the departments, as you well know. It's fascinating to hear people speak with such certainty about who the actors were when they don't even know what they've done or where they got in and precisely how. We know SolarWinds, by all the accounts from the government, was one of the ways. Yeah. The difficulty that we face as a nation, we're not in control of our government right now. The bottom line effect of what is going on is, I understand it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Russia could be, China could be, any number of actors could be in control of our government rather than our duly elected government.
Yeah, look, it is an incredible frustration, and it's frightening. It should frighten all Americans. And the example that you used, the House Intelligence Committee is designed and used to setting up and to provide oversight over the most sensitive information in the U.S. government, provide insight over Department of Justice, FBI, and every other agency who are given, by the way, enormous power, the ability to provide surveillance on any U.S. citizen. And when those agencies refuse to reply or to respond to Kevin McCarthy, for example, or to the Intelligence Committee,
right,
as they have done again and again and again over the last 4 years. How many times have we asked them for information on the original Russia hoax? And they stonewalled us essentially, not for months, not for years, forever. They never provided some of that information. How in the world do you tell the majority or the minority leader in the U.S. House, Kevin McCarthy, hey, sorry, we had something come up. We can't come down and brief you on Eric Swalwell. We're a little bit too busy today. I mean, that's outrageous that they would do that. Now, to do it once, maybe, but to do it again and again like we've seen, it's the arrogance of it is just incredible to me. And they just fundamentally don't understand that they work for the American people, that they have to respond to the American people. They're not an entity unto themselves.
And the committee is chaired by a demonstrated and proved liar. I wanted to say his name, Adam Schiff, who lied in so many instances of the assault and resistance of the left against this president. It's outrageous. Congressman, we thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. Please come back soon.